All right, today we're going to dive into a problem that, let's be honest, probably feels all too familiar for a lot of modern organizations, just dealing with complexity. It feels like the old rulebook for success has been thrown out the window. So what's the new one? Well, we're going to explore that through a really powerful idea called systems thinking.
Okay, let's just start with a question that might hit a little close to home. Does your organization, your team, your processes, does it ever feel like it's just held together with duct tape and a prayer? You keep adding new software, you're patching up old workflows, but it never really feels like a single, cohesive thing. If you're nodding your head right now, trust me, you are not alone. That feeling isn't some kind of personal failure. It's actually a symptom of a much, much bigger shift that's happening. The very ground beneath our feet is changing. The definitions of what we do and what we create are being completely rewritten.
And that's really our first big idea here. The definitions themselves have changed. And I'm not just talking about new gadgets or software. I mean the fundamental core concepts of business are evolving into something totally new. Just take the word publish, It used to mean something very specific, very linear, like a magazine that came out once a month. It had a start and it had a finish. But now, oh man, publish means this constant, 24/7, asynchronous flow of information. We're always on, always distributing to a million different places at once.
And that, of course, changes what we mean by information. It's not a static thing anymore, like a printed article. Now it's data in motion. That one piece of information can be a web page, sure, but it's also a tweet, a summary for a voice assistant, or even training data for an AI model. It's totally fluid.
Which then completely redefines what a product even is. It's not just a book or a magazine anymore. A product is, well, it's unbounded. It could be a newsletter, a YouTube channel, an SMS alert, a whole social media feed. All of it's spinning out from that same core piece of information.
So here's the bottom line. The old rules are just gone. They don't apply. And if the very definitions of what we're doing have changed so dramatically, just swapping out one piece of software for another, putting on a fresh piece of duct tape, that's just not going to fix the real systemic problem. And this brings us to a really critical moment. If the old ways are broken, we need more than just a quick fix. We need a totally new goal, a new definition of what success even looks like.
And here it is. This is the new North Star. Let's break it down. Asynchronously, that's the 24/7 reality. Well-structured, that means it can be used anywhere. And the end game? Getting it to platforms where people will actually engage with it and, most importantly, find it valuable enough to pay for.
But here's the catch. Getting there isn't just a tech challenge. It is a human challenge. It means aligning everything, every single activity, the very language your teams use, even the mental models in everyone's heads. All of it needs to be pointing at this new goal. It's a full-on organizational shift.
So how in the world do you actually do that? Well, this leads us to the Leader's Toolkit. It's all about using systems thinking to build what we call conceptual integrity, making sure that all the different parts of a solution are actually working together for the same purpose.
The question every leader has to be asking themselves is this: how do you get your team to build truly integrated solutions that serve this bigger goal, instead of just, adding more patches? Here are 3 incredibly powerful ways to do it. First, make sure your team can explain the why. Why does this solution actually help the whole system? Second, insist that they bring in different perspectives, especially the ones that disagree. And third, make them show their work. What other options did they consider? This is how you build solutions that last.
All right, the next big skill for leaders is about breaking down silos. In a complex world, success depends on improving how knowledge flows through the entire organization, not just trapping it in one person's head. And there are 3 keys to making that happen. 1, you have to intentionally create experiences where teams learn together. 2, you've got to actually use the collective brainpower of your whole team to tackle problems. And 3, you connect the dots. You link all the documents and diagrams and models together to build a real, living knowledge system that everyone can access.
Honestly, if you take away just one thing about leadership today, let it be this. The motto for a systems leader is so simple, but it's so profound. Learn more, dictate less. Your job isn't to be the genius with all the answers. It's to build a system where the best answers can rise to the surface.
Which brings us to our final and maybe my favorite idea. It's a whole new metaphor for how we should think about our work, and it's all about learning to dance with our systems. Because here's the tough truth. We can't actually control these incredibly complex, interconnected systems we work in. And you know what?
We can't ever perfectly 100% figure them out either. There are just too many moving parts, too many feedback loops.
But as the absolute legend of systems thinking, Don Ellen Meadows once said, we can dance with them. Think about it. You don't control your dance partner. You learn their rhythm, you respond to their moves, you work with them. It's this beautiful shift from a mindset of command and control to one of collaboration and constant adaptation.
So, that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. When you look at the complex systems in your own world, in your own work, what's the very first step you can take to stop trying to control it and start learning the dance?